Hey guys, Vazzy back here. An exciting video here today, one that I know a lot of people have been waiting for, as Update 7 of our NHL 25 custom roster is now live if you are on the Xbox platform. This is the file between myself, Tugi, and Tactics. You'll see there on screen, file name if you're looking for it, Vazzy x Tactics x Tugi v7. Another tip, if you are looking for it, just go to one of the other files and then you can sort by creator, an easy way to find it. So in this video, we're going to go through everything you can expect, everything that we have done in the last, 2 months since we've released an update, and everything that's going to be in the file. So with that being said, let's just jump into it. Everything you can expect from Update 7 of our NHL 25 custom roster. So pretty standard, but one of the bigger items is all the updated transactions. Like I said, it's been the last update we did was the NHL trade deadline update, which was, I want to say, late April-ish, something like that. So it's more or less been 2 months since we had put out a roster update. And there's been quite a bit that has happened around the NHL. Mostly when it comes to signings, there was a few trades. You'll see there that Chris Kreider is on the Anaheim Ducks. I'm just going to scroll through these teams in the background here. But yeah, everything has been totally updated when it comes to contract extensions. Even like a Matt Coronado, he got his deal a little while ago, but it didn't make it into the last roster update, so you'll see that everything now should be reflected as it is in real life, and you're ready to just jump into a franchise mode and everything should be good to go. Some teams I did have to mess around with a little bit, like the Dallas Stars are an absolute headache, especially with the contract they just gave to Matt Duchene. They are extremely over the cap for next year, but we messed around with it. We had to lower some contracts to make sure that others that were more important weren't lowered. No perfect solution, but we got it to work. I should also note I am recording this on the 19th. Frederick here has not officially signed his deal, but basically the terms are more or less confirmed. At least I'm taking this from Cap Friendly, 8-year deal at 3.850. Again, it's not 100% official, but we have it in the roster as it looks like that is more or less almost going to be 100% confirmed. If it does change in any regard, you are absolutely free to go in there, make the slight adjustments as needed. But yeah, overall, everything else should be totally up to date. When it comes to clauses, everyone should be, again, all good. See Eric Holla there, that trade that happened just, a couple days ago. But yeah, clauses, everything should be up to date. There has been a known issue all year that sometimes clauses don't always stick to the players, but we did go through, we did add them to everyone who got one, took it from cap wages itself, and whether they stick in the file when it gets uploaded, we'll have to see, but did our best in that regard. And while we're talking about NHL rosters, guys like Gabe Landeskog have been added back to Colorado, and once again, salary does work for that team, and Jonathan Toews has been added to free agency. He will be a guy that is available year 1, but is what it is. He should also be there available for a signing in year 2. Alright, so that is the big contracts for the NHL club. There are a few things I do want to get into for what we did regarding entry-level contracts. And not all entry-level contracts got added that were in the WHL, the OHL, and the QMJHL. Mainly because a lot of those start next year, the 2025-26 season. So if you add all those in, you're going to be over the contract limit, and it's going to just cause a lot more issues for the NHL clubs. So we decided, let's just let the AI more or less take care of that. They can do whatever the heck they want. There are some guys, like if you go back to the NHL here, Ivan Demidov, perfect example. He's a guy who's obviously signed his ELC, but his ELC started this year. So his 4-year ELC that we had to add before now has been adjusted to a 3-year proper salary. And also ratings, we tried to keep it, somewhat lower so that over the course of year 1 he grows. So starting at a 79, might get to 82, 83 in regards to starting at 83 and growing to 87, 88 by the end of year 1. That's not super realistic. But yeah, we did that more or less for all the guys that had contracts that started this year. Another one, Jimmy Snuggerud here on the Blues, has his 3-year ELC at $950K. Another example would be obviously Alex Nikishin with the Carolina Hurricanes, signed a 2-year ELC, and I guess technically, at least on cap wages, it had 1 more year left at $950K for the 2025-26 season. So as long as he plays in year 1, that should go down to 1 year. And I think the last thing I wanted to mention in terms of contracts. So if you guys do remember at the start of the year, we had a lot of issues with top prospects getting dropped that were added in. So we ended up giving them that artificial ELC. But now that guys, like a perfect example, Daniel Yurov here, who did sign in real life with the Wild, he had one of those artificial ELCs, but it doesn't start till next year. So what we did in that case was we gave him a 1-year deal at $775K. So that's the year that just passed. And then he gets a 3-year extension at $950,000, which would be the real ELC that does start next year. Another example would be like with Jacob Fowler, the Montreal Canadiens star prospect goalie. He'll have that 1 year in the AHL, and then that should turn over to a 3-year entry-level deal. So they're still technically getting that 4-year deal, which they previously would have had, but now the financials and everything are all up to date and should be a little bit more realistic. Moving over from transactions, and as always, draft class updates as we approach the real-life 2025 NHL draft. So I ended up purchasing a subscription to Elite Prospects, and as I'm doing a lot of prep work for NHL 26, that has been underway the past week or so, like very heavily. So they have the consolidated prospect list. I more or less kind of went off that, and then the other gents as well kind of went through, made some select changes. So everything more or less should be pretty good. I tried to really focus on the first 3 rounds in particular. There was a few missing players that I did end up adding, that like even like a Mason West, who could be someone who goes first round, but also could be someone who slips to the second or third round. He's the big, 6'7" guy. So there's a few guys like that that did also get added to that year 1 NHL entry draft. But yeah, everything should be more realistic, and I guess we'll find out how close we were in just about a week's time once the real-life NHL entry draft actually happens. Also in this update, as every other update, new created players. This one isn't the heaviest on new created players, but there was a decent amount from the OHL draft, the WHL draft. I know those have both happened over the course of the past few months. Like you have Nikolai Kulemin's son, who was just drafted. I'll see if I can find him here. He should be under K, I believe. I forget what his first name is. Oh yeah, Alex Kulemin. So yeah, he's on Kingston now. And I tried to go through, I didn't add everybody, but I tried to add some of the top players that were drafted in those junior league drafts. And then that'll hopefully just beef up future draft classes for the next few years once you get into franchise mode. And more or less, that's all the major topics that we have to go over here today. As always, continued rating adjustments, stuff that's happened over the past few years. Want to try and get that replicated in-game. Select created teams have had branding updates. Nothing super crazy, but there's a few teams I changed some jerseys on, made everything more realistic, whether it be a YouTube creators team, whether it be an NHL team. There's a few slight changes I did make there. And then, as I've said, salary cap compliance. Now if you jump into franchise mode, everything should be all compliant for year 1, year 2, and everything should just be ready to go. So yeah, more or less that's everything that you can expect from Update 7 of our NHL 25 custom roster. As always, thanks to the gents, Tugi Tactics, great working with them this whole entire year. I'm not going to say we're 100% done putting out rosters. We're going to attempt a version 8 when it comes to free agent signings. I don't know how well that's going to go. It gets very messy the further you get into the summer, so no promises on anything like that. I'm going to attempt it, but this may potentially also be the last update for this year as well. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, big thanks to those guys. Big thanks to anyone who has downloaded the roster this year. Big thanks to anyone who's given feedback. NHL 25 has been a phenomenal year for rosters. Been a lot of fun, and can't wait to go and do it all again next year with NHL 26. But yeah, overall that is going to do it for today's video. Enjoy the roster, and I will see you all in the next one.